Okay, so again, welcome to the TeenWork webinar series. This is our very first webinar. We're really excited to have you all here. And this is our first webinar on discovering what job is right for you. So first, we'd like to introduce ourselves. My name's Karina. I'm the TeenWork program manager, and I've been working at the TeenWork program for 3 years.
Hi everyone, my name is Emma and I'm a TeenWork job coach. I have been working at TeenWork for just over a year and a half. I started as a practicum student and completed my final practicum in the child and youth care program with them, and then was hired on afterwards.
Hi everyone, my name's Melissa. I have a similar story to Emma. I was in the child and youth care program, a practicum student, and then began working at TeenWork a couple of months ago.
Great, so now that you've met us, we just want to go over a few housekeeping items. So in the controls at the bottom of your screen, you'll see some options. There's a Q&A button if you'd like to put any comments or questions. And if you put your email address, we'll email you back after this webinar and answer your question. Also, you'll see there's a little hand. We'll have some questions throughout the webinar, and you can click on that button to raise your hand. So first of all, maybe some people can type in where they're calling from. We're calling from here in Victoria. Maybe you're calling from Victoria as well, or maybe you're joining us from Vancouver or somewhere else across Canada. Great, so thank you all, and thank you again for joining us. So although we are all joining in this webinar remotely, we would like to acknowledge the land that our TeenWork program office is located on. So TeenWork acknowledges with respect the Lekwungen people on whose traditional territory the University of Victoria stands, as well as the Songhees and Esquimalt and Wasanich people whose historical relationships with the land continues to this day. So again, today's webinar is on discovering what job is right for you. In 2 weeks' time, on July 22nd at 1:00 p.m. as well, we'll be having our second session titled What You'll Need to Get a Job, going over resumes, cover letters, and more. On session 3, August 5th, also at 1 p.m., we'll be going over what happens after you apply to a job. Also, if you would like to join in our following webinars, and we would be very happy to have you there, please type your email address in the Q&A box and we'll send you our link.
Here we've created an image to explain our steps for finding your first job. These webinars are designed to cover all of these steps, and so throughout the webinar series, we will cover all of these topics. In webinar 1, we're going to go over discovery, connection, and some job searching tips. In discovery, we touch on why you should consider your interests and current experience, practical considerations, what motivates you to work, and job searching tips and ideas. In webinar 2, we'll cover a bit more job searching, creating a cover letter and resume, and applying to jobs. In webinar 3, we will cover following up with an employer, the interview process, and either accepting or rejecting a job. It can be quite a journey looking for a job. Looking at this image, it can all seem quite linear. However, you won't always cover each step laid out in this exact order. Job searching, like this photo, can seem a bit all over the place and confusing. For some, the process of getting their first job is like the blue line. Some start off by creating their cover letter and resume. They'll apply to a job, they'll get an interview, they'll either get accepted or rejected from the job. Oftentimes, job searching can look like the yellow line. You figure out what your interests and experiences are. You look for jobs in your community, you apply, you get an interview, you get rejected, and you start all over. Often we go back to the same steps time and time again until you begin your first job. Just remember that although this webinar is going to go from step 1, point A to point B, your experience might look different, and that's okay.
So now we're going to give you a brief description overview of our TeenWork program. So traditionally our TeenWork program is for youth 15 to 19 years old who have a disability or a barrier to employment. But this webinar is open to anyone and will be great for anyone who's just starting out in working or is looking for their first job. So please watch this short video and you'll learn a little bit more about our TeenWork program. If you have any questions about our TeenWork program, our email address will be provided at the end of this webinar. Enjoy.
Hello, are you looking for work?
And experiencing a barrier to finding a part-time job after school?
No worries, TeenWork is here to help.
Together with your job coach,
You will go through 4 stages of support.
the discovery stage. The discovery stage helps you find your interests, helps to get to know yourself, and helps your job coach to get to know you.
After this, you'll go through job development. Here, your job coach will help you get job ready. We will cover things like writing resumes, how to dress for work, and practice interviews. Everything you need to succeed.
The job support stage. Congratulations, you have a job. Now, your job coach will help you understand job expectations, train you on the job, help you connect with your employer and coworkers, and support you until you can work independently.
The transition stage. So, what happens when you're done TeenWork? We've got you covered. Your job coach will help you and your family connect with the right support after TeenWork.
For more information about TeenWork or how to apply, check out our website or send us an email.
Great. Okay, so let's talk about the session agenda for today, as well as learning outcomes. So today we'll go over how to identify your interests and your experience, how to find what type of job suits you best. We'll go over how to identify what type of work environment is right for you, look at practical considerations when finding a job, find out what motivates you to work, learn about why first jobs are so important, and go over some job searching tips. Okay, so now we have a quick poll. So as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a bar at the bottom of your screen. You can, there's going to be a poll that pops up on the screen, and there'll be a yes or no. And please click whether yes or no you've had a job before. So it'll just be a minute and a poll should pop up. So have you had a job before? Yes, no, or unsure. So we'll just take a couple of minutes and you can complete that. And click submit once you have filled that out. Okay, just a few moments and then we'll check out the results. Okay, so right now we've got half and half. So 50% of you have had a job and looking to get some more tips, maybe finding another job, and 50% of you haven't had a job before. So great, thanks for filling that out. And now let's get started.
Before creating a resume and deciding which job to apply to, it's important to reflect on yourself. Who are you? What are your interests, experiences, and strengths? We begin the webinar series by discussing a series of tips and things to consider before applying to your first job. So, why should you consider your interests? Well, you're more likely to stick with a job that meets some of your interests. And job retention looks good to employers when you're applying at a different job in the future. Work is a great opportunity to make friends. Say you like gardening and you apply to work at an outdoor garden center. And the other employees, maybe they like gardening too. And thus a friendship will bloom. Being interested in something might mean you have the skills or experience in the area as well, which means you're more likely to be a candidate for the job. Being interested in aspects of your work will enhance your ability to provide good customer service. And if your first job is in an area of interest to you and you continue to pursue it further, it may become a part of your future career aspirations. Before job searching, it's helpful to ask yourself, what am I interested in? Is it books, music, animals, shopping? As discussed before, interests play a role in acquiring and your potential success at the job. Next, consider your volunteer and school activity experience. Most likely, you've done some volunteering or participated in a school activity or a class. Consider what you liked or did not like about that experience. How were the environments? What were the tasks like? For example, you may have really enjoyed taking a leadership role in a class activity, and you volunteered to speak up in front of the class. Perhaps you'd be really successful in a customer service job. Whatever your experience is, reflecting on that experience can tell you what your strengths and challenges might be at a potential job. And then consider your hobbies like your interests. Your hobbies can tell you what skills and experiences you may have that will positively contribute to your job skills. Do you enjoy playing sports? Perhaps you would apply at a recreation community center, working outdoors, at a camp, or at a park. This slide is an example of how reflecting on your interests can play a tangible role on your resume or professionally elsewhere. The interest used in this example is video games. There are skills acquired and used frequently while playing video games that are skills that will benefit you at any job. Communicating these skills professionally can take practice. In this example, I wrote, knowledgeable of creative virtual outlets, ability to adapt to different technologies quickly, able to communicate with teammates effectively to achieve a desired goal, and resilient, which is a professional way of saying that you're able to recover quickly from failures, setbacks, and/or challenges. These skills may be applicable when applying at an electronics store, serving customers at a fast food restaurant, or at a job recreation community entertainment venue, such as like a bowling alley or an indoor play center. Experience. So what is experience? Please use the raise hand button on your screen if you think that you've had work experience. Okay, so getting your first job with no work experience can be hard. That's true. However, you do have experience. It may be a little experience, some experience, or a lot of experience. Whatever amount you have is okay. You may have volunteered a lot or participated in a variety of extracurricular school activities. Any babysitting outside the home is considered experience. You are responsible for caring for a child, showing up on time, listening to the child's needs, and meeting those needs, which are all basic skills for working for an employer. Working odd jobs for your neighbors is experience. You may have practiced skills in this role, such as taking care of pets, lawn care, cleaning, or teaching computer skills. Even skills used at home is experience. If you've done some cooking or cleaning or sorting recycling, that's experience. And all experience you will use at any potential entry-level position. Being able to explain to an employer how your experience makes you a good fit for the job sets you apart from other applicants. Experience such as working in your school kitchen or cutting grass for your neighbors means that you might have skills such as dedication. You have made an ongoing commitment to an unpaid responsibility. Experience with tools, whether that be kitchen tools or outdoor tools. Ability to work independently and responsible for your personal schedule. Having a driver's license, knowing a second language, or having your first aid certificate means that you might have skills such as responsibility, ability to gain training, ability to multitask. Attending any community or religious groups, singing in a choir, or playing on a team means that you might have skills such as good at working on a team. Communication, which means that you were able to talk to people effectively. Ability to follow directions, and good at memorizing new things. So we've covered some potential experiences you may have. If you like, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen again, or it might be at the top. If you can now think of an example of experience that you have in your life. Okay, so all of these experiences have prepared you with the skills to begin your first job. What does all of this mean? Does this mean that because you're interested in video games and you have experience cleaning at home, that you can only apply for jobs at Best Buy? Of course not. Just because you like video games does not mean you should apply to only work at electronics stores. In that environment, you have to talk to a lot of people, you have to solve customer issues, and you have to clean a lot. And you might find this challenging. In another example, just because you like baking does not mean you should apply to be a baker. Bakers work really early in the morning. They lift heavy things and they're often working in the heat. Ask yourself, what do you like about your interests? Is it because it's creative or fast paced, or because it allows you to move around a lot? Now, Best Buy could be the perfect job for you. It could. But consider what you like about your hobbies and interests, and that will help you discover which jobs are ideal for you. Let's talk about jobs. When I first started looking for my first job, I was 17 years old. I didn't really know what kind of jobs were out there. I eventually got a job working at Subway. However, after giving it a try, I realized it wasn't for me, but I learned I was better at the customer service aspect of the job. I did find a job at A&W soon after, and I stayed working at A&W on and off for 3 years. Reflecting back on this experience, I should have spent more time exploring what jobs are in my community before applying to and accepting the first job that came along. Here, in the next few slides, we've divided up some potential entry-level positions into different service categories, the first being the food and service industry. In this industry, you will find jobs such as host, dishwasher, server, customer service, prepping food, barista, and dishwasher, and so on. In retail, you'll find jobs such as sales associate at various stores, cashier, and working in different departments at grocery stores. In recreation, you might work at a camp, local pool, ice rink, movie theater, bowling alley, arcade, laser tag, etc. Other service jobs are babysitter, tutor, a delivery job, working at a gas station, or lawn maintenance. Of course, there are many, many, many more jobs out there, and every community is different with different services they offer. Talk to the people in your community and see what's out there, who's hiring, and what kind of opportunities you may have. Now that we've talked about how your interests and your experience can help you decide what job might be right for you, and we've talked about how a few common entry-level jobs out there, should you apply to every single job that interests you? Maybe not. Your first job is also about learning and building new skills too. As good as it is to consider what skills you can bring to a job, it's also good to consider what challenges you might have as well. Would you apply for a job that expects you to work long days in customer service if you're really introverted and you find small talk difficult? For me, I do not have full range of motion in my left arm. I have what's called Sprengel's deformity, and so I consider this when I apply to jobs. Will I spend a lot of time with my hands above my head? Now, I did apply for and work at a job at a bakery, and I did have to stack bread on high shelves. However, I told my boss about my abilities, and we created a system around it. I was able to work mostly independently while sometimes requiring assistance from coworkers. Considering your strengths and skills will determine your overall success with getting and completing the tasks at the job. So, in a perfect world, we would all take the time to reflect on our interests and our experiences and our skills, and we'd be matched up with our dream job. And that just so happens to be a block away from home. That would be the dream. However, as far as entry-level positions go, you're more likely to find a job in 2 of the 3 categories as far as best fit goes. So you may find a good job that's within your interests and your skills, but maybe you don't have a ton of direct experience. Or maybe you have a lot of interest and experience, but it would take a lot of job training or work accommodations to build up your strengths and skills. And that's okay. No one is going to find the perfect job the first time around. But we hope that after considering everything we've discussed so far, that you will be able to find a good job.
All right, next we will discuss the practical aspects you should consider before applying for a job. The first thing you should consider before applying for a job is when you are available to work and for how many hours per week. It is important when applying for jobs to give employees as much availability as you have. Employers are more likely to hire you if you have lots of availability because it shows you can be flexible. On an application, you will also be asked to provide the amount of hours you would like to work per week. When thinking about how many hours you can work per week, think about what other responsibilities you have. These could include being on a sports team, going to school, or other community programs. During the application process, you may be asked if you are looking for part-time or full-time work. Part-time usually means anywhere between 4 and 30 hours per week, and working full-time usually means working between 30 to 40 hours per week. Here is an example of an availability chart an employer would ask you to fill out. This chart shows an example of a high school student's availability. As you can see, this individual is not available to work Monday to Friday morning because they are in school. At the bottom of the chart, the individual has written they can work maximum 20 hours per week. Remember that even though this is your availability, you can always change it. Just let your manager know. Before applying somewhere, consider the location and how you would get there. Some questions to ask yourself are, how will I get to work? Will someone always be able to give me a ride? Is there a bus I can take to get there? Can I ride my bike or walk there? Something to consider before applying is that there may be another location of the same store that is easier for you to get to. Before applying somewhere, consider any sensory or safety issues. These are also known as your environmental preferences. An easy way to do this is to go through your 5 senses and think about any challenges you have with each one. Beginning with vision, one environmental preference to consider is how do you feel under fluorescent or bright lights? Another is how comfortable you feel in crowds. Being in large crowds could also impact your hearing. Consider whether or not you are okay working somewhere with loud noises. Are strong smells an issue for you? If so, working in a restaurant or a department store may be a challenge. Do you have any allergies? Some clients I work with have a severe nut allergy, which would make working in food services unsafe for them. So we look for jobs outside of that area. Something else to consider is whether certain things you touch make you feel uncomfortable. For some people, different fabrics and sensations can make certain clothing or footwear tricky to wear. Before applying somewhere, consider the uniform you may be required to wear and if that's something you feel comfortable in. For example, employees at hardware stores are usually required to wear steel-toed boots, which can be heavy and hot on your feet. Feeling safe at work is really important. So it's really important to consider any safety issues you may have. For instance, if traffic safety is challenging for you, you probably shouldn't work as a flagger on a construction site or collecting shopping carts at a grocery store. To summarize, before applying somewhere, consider your environmental preferences. A tip I have would be before applying somewhere, go to the location if possible and see how comfortable you feel there. Before applying for a job, consider if you will need to ask for any accommodations. An accommodation is any adjustment to job tasks or work environment that makes a job easier for an individual. If you need to ask for an accommodation, you may have to disclose to an employer why that is. This does not mean that you have to give them all the details, just the parts that directly relate to the accommodation you need. For example, if you attend church, you may need to take Sunday mornings off. This is all you need to tell the employers. Another example of an accommodation would be taking more frequent breaks during your shift to check blood sugar levels if you have diabetes. For people with anxiety, sometimes getting to work every day can be a challenge. Since this is affecting your work, you may need to disclose to your employer that you have anxiety that affects you arriving to work. Without disclosing, an employer may form other assumptions about why you are not arriving for work, and this may affect job performance reviews. Disclosing information helps the employer understand you better, resulting in a better work environment for you. A support network is a person or group of people who help you to achieve your personal and professional goals. Some examples of people in your support networks may be your family, your friends, teachers, coaches, maybe your pets, a counselor, or a doctor. It is important to consider who is in your support network and how they could help you in your job search. Finding a job can be challenging, but having support from others will make this process easier. The people in your support network may even have connections to different employers, which may help you find a job. For example, I got my first job at McDonald's after hearing from a friend who was an employee there that they were hiring. Through my support network, I also was able to find my second and my third job. Oops, Karina, I think you're muted still.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone has different reasons why they want to work. So think about why it is that you want to. Knowing what motivates you will help you to build the determination to maintain a job and keep working even when things get tough. So who wants to work because they want to make money? So if you can click on the raise your hand button on the bottom of your screen, please raise your hand if you want to work because you'd like to make money. Yes, so certainly money is a motivator for many of us. We all need money to buy the things we want and need. However, it's not the only motivator for sure. Other reasons why you might want to work include meeting people and making friends. Outside of school, our jobs are often one of the main places where we meet people. And for some people who are no longer in school, this might be another reason why you want to find a job. Jobs can also give us a sense of purpose, give us a schedule, and help with providing greater meaning to our life. They can also give us a reason to get out of bed each day. Hopefully you'll find a job that you enjoy, that makes you feel valued and contributes to your sense of self-worth. Jobs can be really beneficial for improving self-esteem and confidence as well. Also, making an impact in your community, helping people, or positively contributing is another reason why people want to work as well. An example of this is maybe your first job will be in a clothing store, and when you help people and provide great customer service and kindness, you're positively contributing by helping to make someone's day better. And this is also something good to remember when you deal with rude customers too, because when you work in customer service, you'll sometimes encounter those people as well. So beyond thinking about why it is you want to work, it's also good to know why first jobs are so important. So first jobs are important for a variety of reasons. First of all, because they'll make you better for all your next jobs. This is the time to learn from your coworkers and managers and develop skills that you can apply to new jobs. So maybe your first job is making Subway sandwiches like Melissa, and there you learn proper food handling skills and you enjoy making the food, and then perhaps that later leads to a food prep position in a restaurant. So the people that you meet can be more important than the money that you make. Doing a good job and developing contacts can lead to promotions, new responsibilities, and even new jobs. So I'll tell you a little bit about my first job, which was at a pool, and I was working as a change room attendant and cashier. So this wasn't a job that I really enjoyed, but I did this job because I wanted to be a lifeguard. So once I started working in the pool and I completed all my training, the staff and the managers already knew me and then hired me when a lifeguard position became available. So remember, you might not always love your first job, but it's really important nonetheless. So first jobs are also good because you can find out what things you like doing and what things you don't. Maybe your first job is working in the deli of a grocery store and you find out you really enjoy the times you prepare the food and make things, but you don't enjoy the customer service. From that experience, you learn that you want to work in the kitchen of a restaurant. So first jobs are important in order to gain experience to add to your resume, which you'll learn more about in the second webinar. Each job that you take on, you'll develop new skills that you can transfer to future jobs. Most people's first-time jobs aren't ones that they'll do forever, but developing professional workplace behaviors like time management, teamwork, and reliability are all skills that you'll take with you to future jobs. developing through self-confidence through learning how capable you can be on the job is one of the important reasons that we have first job as well. Maybe you learn to do something that you never thought you could do, or you master a skill that was once very challenging for you. This leads to greater independence and a sense of responsibility, which are all very important as you're becoming a young adult. So finally, first jobs are great at teaching money management. When you start working and making your own money, you'll see that money doesn't always come easily. You'll respect the time that goes into making and earning your paycheck, and you'll learn how to save money for things that you really need. That way you can save for things that are important now or when you're older, whatever it is that you value important. So maybe you want to save money to travel, maybe you're saving to go to school, to college and university, maybe you're saving for rent when you first move out, maybe you're saving money to buy toys for your cat, whatever it is. When you start making your own paycheck, you learn to save money.
Okay, so now that we have reflected and determined what types of jobs are right for you, the next step is to job search. So we wanted to share 5 tips for job searching. So the first one is to use job searching websites like Indeed or LinkedIn or Monster. The second is to use Google Maps to research companies near you. Our third job searching tip is ask people in your support network if they know of any job opportunities. Number 4 is visit different companies and observe the responsibilities and tasks the employees are doing. Ask yourself, is this something I would enjoy doing? Number 5 is if you already have a place in mind you would like to work, visit their company website to see if they have any job postings directly on their website. All right, so during today's session, we learned how to determine what job is right for you. To summarize, we covered the importance of self-reflection and awareness before applying for your first job. Remember to identify your interests, your ideal work environment, review more practical considerations, including your availability and store locations, and reflect on what is motivating you to find work. We also discussed why first jobs are so important and reviewed some job searching tips. Our next webinar will be in 2 weeks on July 22nd at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We hope you will join us again for webinar 2, What You Need to Get a Job, Resumes, Cover Letters, and more.
Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again for our next webinars. Please put your email into the chat box and we'll send you a link for the following webinars. Or if you have any questions that you'd like to answer, please put your question and your email there as well. We hope you have a great rest of the day, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye.